Rebecca. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good, Brianna. How are you?
I'm doing well. I just finished watching the film for the second time, and I want to congratulate you on embarking on an effort like this.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
So my first question for you is, where did this idea to make a documentary about yourself come from?
Well, I just recently graduated from college, about a year out of college, and there was so much tension happening around me, whether it was like in the city, in the country, the world, or my home, which I'd moved back into the one bedroom apartment that I had grown up with my two siblings and my parents. And I'd just come out of this like very wealthy utopian-esque like school. And there was just so many things happening inside of me, so many questions I had. And so the impetus was really to be able to connect with people on an authentic level.
When you moved back in, because you do have a lot of clips of you with your family, when you moved back in, did you know you were going to start filming that documentary, or did that process happen afterwards?
That process happened afterwards.
Okay. And your family obviously is.
Wait, I just want to say though, but I'd film my family otherwise though. Like I liked filming them and asking them questions and
Okay,
sort of.
so not all of the clips that were included were just started after the documentary process. Those were all
Right.
okay, baked in. And so your family is obviously a really big part of the film. Have they seen it?
My parents, yes. And my parents are they're the ones who I was the most worried about because I think that for my siblings, they're gonna have their own relationship to it, and we're all the same generation, and there's like a respect there of like, yo, do what you have to do. You're an artist, whatever. It was really my parents who I was worried about, um, but they've seen it many times. They went to Toronto, the world premiere. They went to all of the Tribeca screenings, and they're extremely proud.
Can you talk a little bit about why you chose to name the film Beba?
Other than it being the nickname that my mother gave me, and that only my really close friends or people or friends who knew my family well called me. Um, it's weird because it's such an intimate film, even though it's like it's so intimate that it's not intimate, but like it's such an intimate film that I think that it made sense, to give it a name that was sort of like an intimate.
You're talking about the intimacy of the film, and it was incredibly intimate and vulnerable. What does it feel like to share so openly about yourself and your life with an audience?
I was a lot more concerned about sharing with my parents than I was with an audience. Like it was a lot scarier to show this film to my parents than to show it to a general audience for me, because I love my parents more than anything in the world. And I didn't know whether or not they were going to talk to me again, ever. And so I feel lucky because although it is incredibly vulnerable and complex in all of the ways and beautiful and incredible to show it with to so many different people, the whole point of this was to connect authentically with other human beings. So there's a part of me that feels an acceptance and even a gratitude in that. But to show it to my parents was like one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Is there any part you maybe thought about shying away from and not including?
Yes, and I'm going to keep those close to me.
Okay, that's fair. Um, what did it feel like to have something like this premiere at Tribeca?
It premiered at Toronto, world premiered at Toronto International Film Festival. You mean like in New York?
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is my home. And Tribeca, I remember I went to a EP who's like a sister to me and was a mentor. she gave me her pass. She was a juror at the time, and she gave me her pass like maybe 5 years ago, or four, maybe five. And I was so elated. And I was like, man, I'm at Tribeca. Like I went to all the parties and like, and then discovered new directors that I loved. And it was, I just remember feeling like that gave me fuel. I would come out, I was working at Cafe Habana at the time, and I would just like run to Tribeca after every shift. And I'd ask for day shifts so I could come and like just watch the films from like the afternoon into like the last screening. And to have a film here and have my entire family be able to come, my cousins, my aunts came from Brooklyn, from Bed-Stuy, to have them be able to come here and celebrate with me, there's no words for that. There are no words for that. Yeah.
Can you talk a bit about the hybrid structure of the documentary? Like, where did the ideas come to you to kind of blend your life in this way on screen?
Yeah, I think that the visual component of the film had to somehow speak to or connect to the reality of the narrative. And the reality of the narrative is that it is an existential film. It is a film about existing. And so in that sense, there had to be different layers. And those different layers, like for example, the 16 millimeter is meant to sort of um, embody some of the more intimate and ethereal, some of those more like intimate, ethereal-esque, like can't feel or touch layers. The more imaginative and intimate. And so, yeah.
And you have a line in the film I really loved hearing, and it says, "God, bring me back black every time." What significance does that have for you?
I think that is very, very descriptive and self-explanatory, but it is that I would like to come back black every time.
Very simple.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that's the poem. That's my prayer.
Yeah. How do you feel like your time in college influenced your career choices moving forward?
That's a really good question. I think I was a lot more confident as an artist, I was a lot more confident when I entered college. And then I was like, wow, there's like an entire world of like artistic elite families that bring their kids here. And like, what I have nothing to add. And then when I started sort of, when I met my professor, Annie Seaton, and I started really understanding and like loving on a level that I felt like I could interact with and I felt safe with, when I started understanding and loving academia and art, the academia and the art that was being taught to me, because I always loved, and I grew up in New York City. I would walk to the Met by myself in like high school, middle school. It's just like that's just how it is here. But just when I was in an institution where I was very sort of different from most of the students, there were many layers to get through before I could just like feel safe appreciating what I was feel safe and feel safe appreciating what I was learning and what and being able to really see what was in front of me without being distracted by some of the more, institutional like bullshit. And I think Annie Seaton really helped me with that. And once I was able to like just let go and ignore certain things, I and just like fully give myself to learning, it was like there's no limits. but that was a process. Does that make sense what I said?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel like you're more removed from the institutional aspects of making art now?
Yes, for sure.
In what ways?
In ways. In ways. I mean, I live in a mountain town in Mexico by myself. So I'm removed from institutions and humans for the most part, which is nice. Even though I love humans, I have to take them in doses. Um, and I also um, will say that is a safe place for me to create and to go crazy. And then I come back and I interact with the institutions outside of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And for your future moving forward, do you see yourself making more documentaries?
Definitely. Yeah. And both narrative and documentaries. I think my next film is going to be a narrative, but I love documentaries. I love them. I love the art form
What's your favorite thing about documentaries? Why are you so enamored with them?
because I love to see how we interpret and capture reality.
So I think I've got about a minute left. So I want to ask, moving forward, where do you kind of see yourself in your career and moving forward? Where would you like to be in the next couple of years?
I'd like to be at Cannes with my second feature that I've written and directed in a couple years with great distribution, hopefully neon.
Any last words you want to say about your film,
Yeah,
about anything?
the film will be in theaters in New York and LA on June 24th. Please buy a ticket, bring your friends, tell your friends. It's really, these first 2 weeks of the film being in theaters are really important, and it's made with a lot of love and care and intention. And I just hope everyone goes and has a cathartic experience, hopefully.
Well, thank you so much, Rebecca. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk about this film, especially something so deeply personal to you. So thank you.